It's time for the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Each week, Trading Stocks Made Easy demystifies stock trading and investing so you can profit big. And now, here's the host of Trading Stocks Made Easy, the wealthy investor, Tyrone Jackson.
Okay, and welcome to Trading Stocks Made Easy. I'm your host, Tyrone Jackson, a wealthy investor, and I'm glad you took some time to stick with me here today. This is podcast episode number 2. You know, each time I talk to you, I really talk to you about the significance of changing and shifting your mindset, your belief systems, and believing what is possible. And since most of the people that I teach have limited knowledge of the stock market and how to be successful, I always have to remind you about your money beliefs. And just before we talk about money beliefs, I want to cite 2 stocks that I love to use as case studies and ask you the following question. If you had owned these stocks over the past 5 years, would you have enjoyed making money for them? Would you have enjoyed building your net worth because they have risen? And the first stock I'm going to talk about as part of this case study is Starbucks. Now, you know, if you've ever traveled outside of your neighborhood, your doorstep, or anywhere in the world, you've seen 17,000 Starbucks, right? But did you know that you can own shares of Starbucks for less than $100? Most people don't really realize you can even own 1 share of Starbucks and you get all the benefits of stock market ownership. But, you know, if you took $1,000 5 years ago, just $1,000, and I always have to remind people that your income tax is investable. Your income tax refund is really investable. So if you really want to start out wealth building, then use your income tax refund and create a financial plan, like put $50 a week in a brokerage account, something like that, so that you can start to experience the joys of wealth building and your money actually working for you. Did you know that if you purchased $1,000 worth of Starbucks 5 years ago, that $1,000 investment would be worth over $2,900. That means $10,000, a one-time investment 5 years ago, would be worth $29,000. And of course, $100,000 invested in Starbucks would be worth over $290,000. These case studies are really important because they really show you how the rich get richer, how the wealthy build wealth. And you'll notice that most people who have enormous wealth have money in the stock market directly, not through mutual funds. The second case study I want to cite is a company called Nike, and they sell obviously sneakers and apparel, but they do it all around the world really, really well. Nike's ticker symbol is NKE. And $1,000 invested 5 years ago would be worth $2,400. $10,000 would be worth $24,000. And $100,000 would be worth $240,000. Now, you know, from the wealthy investor approach, we only trade stocks that are members of the Dow Jones Industrial Average or in the S&P 500. Now, in episode number 1, if you don't know what that is, I actually go back and explain that to you. But part of what you're getting in Trading Stocks Made Easy is I'm trying to not only demystify the stock market, but I'm going to tell you things that your financial advisor, who you pay all this money to, doesn't explain to you. And it's a shame in this country that in junior high school, college, and even grad school, we do not get a financial education. That is to say, we don't know how to make money work for us. And the easiest way to do that is the stock market. Some people say, well, I'll go out and I'll buy real estate, Tyrone, and that'll actually turn that around, because if I get that one property positive cash flowing, meaning that my tenants pay me on time every single month, I'll have some positive cash flow. So if the mortgage is, let's say, $1,500 and I'm taking in $2,000 in rent, I have $500 a month in positive cash flow. That's fine. But the problem with real estate is that you actually have to go out, put out a down payment, get a lawyer, closing costs. You have to convince a bank that you are credit worthy. There are title searches, right? And after you do all of that, and perhaps maybe even there's some repairs. And after you do all of that, what happens? You have to find a tenant that is going to pay you all the time and consistently and not disrupt or tear up your property. Then you have a shot at the $500 a month positive cash flow. Well, in the stock market, you can start with as little as, let's say, $500 or $1,000 or $5,000 with none of those costs, and you can be participating in the success of some of the most globally well-recognized brands and companies around the world. So really, the stock market allows us to get in the game and get money to work for us much faster than real estate. Now, I'm not poo-pooing real estate because I actually own income investment properties. I was going to tell you a story there, but I'll say that for another podcast because I tend to get them really, really cheap and hold on to them for a long period of time. But I like the stock market because it all happens much faster. Now, if we just go back to StarBucks as part of our case study, $10,000 invested 5 years ago is now worth $29,000. The other thing I like about the stock market is Starbucks works for me, right? Money works for me because it's my employee. And Starbucks shares work for me. And the good folks over at Starbucks, they're working hard every single day, opening new stores and figuring out how to expand the brand. And they have to answer to me, the shareholder. Now, do they know specifically that they have to answer to Tyrone Jackson? No, but they have to answer to, 100 million shareholders, and we hold them accountable for profit. So we are empowered in that way. Now, that $10,000 turning into $29,000 over a 5-year period. Why do I like that? Because at some point I can cash out of that investment and pocket the difference between the $10,000 I put up and what the stock is worth now, which in this example is $19,000. So I don't mind selling my shares if I need to for $19,000. Why? Because I may need that money at some point to support my lifestyle, to send my kids to college, to buy a new car. And one of the things I absolutely love about the stock market is as I am asset building, it gives me cash.
You're listening to the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Want to learn more about what stocks to trade and invest in today's market? Visit thewealthyinvestor.net. That's thewealthyinvestor.net. And sign up for Tyrone Jackson's free stock market success email list. Our next free stock trading teleseminar is only days away. Visit thewealthyinvestor.net today. Now back to the Wealthy Investor, Tyrone Jackson.
Now, let's talk about the other benefit of owning a company like Starbucks. And this happens with hundreds of companies. Remember, I'm just highlighting these two for illustration purposes right now. Is one of the other benefits of owning a company like Starbucks is it's a member of the S&P 500, is lower risk, and it has what I talked about in podcast episode number 1, top line revenue. And they've grown the top line revenue on an annual basis. What does that mean? The company's gross income keeps growing every single year to where it is now, which is $16 billion, right, in annual revenue. So their annual revenue at Starbucks keeps growing. I might as well hold on to those shares. But if I ever want to cash them out, again, to support my lifestyle or something for my kids or some unexpected expense, that money is there for me and I can get it within 24 hours. There are some tremendous benefits to actually owning stocks directly as opposed to mutual funds. So if I cash out those shares and spend that money, that is a great way to support my lifestyle. However, and this is where it gets really interesting, if I want to cash out my Starbucks shares to buy a piece of real estate, the bank looks very favorably on the other shares and other companies that I own. And I try to explain this to people all the time. Stocks are assets. They are assets that you can use somewhat in a collateralized way if you ever need anything from a bank. Okay, there we go. That music is telling me what? Here's what you want to do. If you haven't already subscribed to this podcast on iTunes, make sure that you've done that. It's totally free. Head on over to thewealthyinvestor.net and make sure that you sign up for that newsletter and get on one of our teleconference seminars so I can teach you right there in the moment what is happening in the stock market. And I ask that if I help you make money, the hope is that you go out and help other people too. I'm Tyrone Jackson, the Wealthy Investor of thewealthyinvestor.net, saying thank you for joining me on this podcast. And our next great lesson is just around the corner. Until then, keep an open mind, let go of negative thoughts, and I wish you happy trading.
You're listening to the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Want to learn more about how to trade and invest in the stock market? Visit thewealthyinvestor.net/products. That's thewealthyinvestor.net/products and order the Wealthy Investor's Guide to Stock Market Success audio series. This easy-to-follow 5-CD audio series and manual will teach you the basics of how to buy and sell stocks, how to collect quarterly dividends for life, plus hidden income generating strategies like covered call writing and volatility trading. Start creating financial freedom right now. Get the financial education you need to get ahead. Visit thewealthyinvestor.net/products